Hello folks, Phil Galler of ThrabenU here for another Pauper video. Today we are playing with Zach's, air quotes, mono green Timmy deck, end quotes. We're essentially just playing an old school ramp deck. Our goal is to take a forest and throw lands like Wild Growth, throw enchantments like Wild Growth and Utopia Sprawl on them that allow them to tap for more mana. On top of that, we are going to use effects like Arbor Elf and Rime Tender that let us untap these lands, and building up a very large land, we're going to untap it and then play some unhealthily large threats. And we're going up to 7 and 8 mana in this deck, and we are going to be playing a Pauper Cascade deck, essentially. So when we cast either Anointed Altasaur or Maelstrom Colossus, we are going to get to Cascade. And we're going to reveal cards from the top of our library until we reveal another card with lesser mana cost, and then we are going to go. The ultimate dream here would be casting Maelstrom Colossus, cascading into Anointed Altasaur, and then cascading into something like a Blastoderm from there. On that note, I'm not sure how playable Blastoderm is. 5/5 Shroud is cool, but fading is a real draw side. For those of you who weren't around in that time period, this creature is going to enter with 3 fading counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, you remove a fade counter from it, and if you can't, you sacrifice it. You will get in your 3 attacks with this, and then it's gone. We do have a handful of other things in this deck. We have a couple copies of Weather the Storm to help us out versus Burn, and we have Lead the Stampede to function as a draw engine. We have 28 creatures in this deck, so this will hit pretty consistently. As far as the sideboard goes, the most notable thing here is actually Trace of Abundance. Now, let me pull this out, actually. Is actually Trace of Abundance, which gives an enchanted land Shroud. So if you're playing against a deck with Cleansing Wildfires or something like that, you can sub this in over one of your other things to make sure your lands aren't getting blown up. Otherwise, we have some flashback cards for games that go long, and a little bit of land destruction of our own for when we play against something like Tron. This is going to be fun. We're going to cast some big dumb things. We're going to see how it works. I'm a little worried at the 13 land count, but if we look at mana count of this deck list, 24 of these are supplementing these initial 13 forests. I think it's going to end up being okay. Anyway, folks, I hope you'll enjoy the video. Please consider throwing me a like before this video begins, as that's one of the easiest ways to support my content for free. And if you enjoy this and you're new here, please consider following. There's lots more cool content like this. All right, let's battle. Nope. Yes. Okay, so I need to math this out. So turn 1, Utopia Sprawl. Turn 2, have 3 mana. I can use that to play Rime Tender and Utopia Sprawl. I can probably junk the Overgrowth here and keep a threat. All right, land. Utopia Sprawl. Utopia Sprawl. Green. Let's make some mana. Elves? All right, we're playing against elves. Ooh, okay. Cool. 1 mana. Utopia Sprawl here. Name green. 3 mana. Rime Tender. Call it a turn. Next turn I have 3, 6, 7 mana, so if I draw a land, I get to double Blastoderm. It is pretty legit. The Elves deck can make a whole bunch of chump blockers, though, and these are going to fade. Yikes, Well-Wisher is very strong. Alright. 3 mana. Untap. 6 mana. Blastoderm. 4 Blastoderm. That's a lot of damage output. We'll see how this goes. I am more afraid of what my opponent is doing than what I am doing. Okay. Is this the whenever you cast an elf, you... Okay, yeah, that's horrifying. Yeah, they're going to take their elves now. Or they take their life now. Okay. 3. Untap. 6. 7. This is turn 4, and I'm casting a 7-drop. Going into an Overgrowth. We'll continue to build up the same land. I mean, I'm attacking for 10. This one has trample. That's pretty good. Like, I have done a broken thing in my own right. I don't know this one. This is new. With the top 5 cards of your library, reveal any number of creature cards, put them into your hand, rest on the bottom. Or it can be a baby overrun. That's really good. This Well-Wisher shit is going to be absolutely obnoxious, though. Yeah, and this is, like, gonna be the problem with the fading of Blastoderm, right? I think my opponent is just going to outpace me here. Alright. In I go for 16 damage, and it's just, like, not gonna be enough. Straight up, opponent is just, like, taking 16 to the face. Absolute legend. I have so much mana. Where's my, like, green fireball card? I'm ready for it. None of these are, like, snow creatures randomly, right? Other than this. Yeah. Oh, and this isn't legendary either. Alright, whatever happens, happens. It's fine. Not fine. This 12 mana. Another you meet in a tavern. Okay. This represents so many creatures. That creature is also going to get huge. Every elf my opponent casts at this point is just disgusting. Like, I did a sweet thing, my opponent did a sweeter thing, and now they just, like, tap Well-Wishers to gain, I don't know, 20 plus life. Uh, this is a problem. Like, yeah. I am having difficulty even telling how many creatures my opponent has because these triggers just keep going anywhere. So this is 10, 15, yeah, like my opponent taps Well-Wisher for north of 20 life at this point. And every creature my opponent plays is just disgusting. These Blastoderms are fading. I don't really have anything that, like, super interacts with this, right? Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to beat this long term. I think I'm ready to concede. Like, my opponent's out of cards, so I guess I can, like, chill for a little while. But, like, this is a 14-14, for example. Like, this is a 5-5. That's a 7-7. Yeah, like, how on earth am I supposed to beat this? Like, elves preys on the decks that cannot, um, like, wipe the board with something like an Electrickery, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Like, I'm not getting in for any points of damage this turn. My opponent's at 28. I am very dead. My opponent has gone wide of what I'm doing. These trample randomly? No, they don't randomly trample, which is unfortunate. Blastoderm being blocked here is kind of huge, but it hits hard enough that maybe I'm supposed to keep it. I don't know. Like, go Weather the Storms out. I don't care about my life total. I care about trying to kill my opponent. I could do something like the Acid Moss or just, like, side in more Shadow Beast sightings. Like, the Acid Moss probably isn't fast enough. I don't think I can win this matchup just straight up. Like, I had a very good draw after that mulligan, and it just, like, did not matter. That's no lands in 2 hands, by the way. On 5, yeah, I'll keep. Blastoderm is 100% going back, and then probably Maelstrom Colossus. So Utopia Sprawl guarantees me +1 mana. Arbor Elf guarantees me +1 mana. If I draw another land, Arbor Elf nets more mana next turn than Utopia Sprawl does. Not that I can, like, super take advantage of that mana, but, like, no, it is what it is. Alright. Utopia Sprawl here. Aim green. Untap this forest. 2 mana. Rhyme Tender. So I've got 6 mana for next turn as of right now, which is pretty cool. God, opponent has Well-Wisher already. Alright. 2 mana. Untap a forest. 4 mana. Untap a forest. 6 mana. Be a Shadow Beast sighting into an Arbor Elf, and then next turn I can play an Olamog's Crusher and start that route, but Annihilator 2 might not be good enough in this situation, as wild as that is to say. What are we looking at? Okay, that's fine. Everything that's happening so far is fine. 2. Untap. 4. Untap. 6. Untap. 8. Crusher. I think that's better than playing the Altasaur and just cascading. We're gonna try to stay aggressive. Like, despite my mulligans, we have still done something impressive by Pauper standards. Like, I'm just still terrified though. Like, I hope Ulamog's Crusher is good enough, but if my opponent can start producing tokens for every elf that they cast, it's just not good enough anymore. Ulamog's Crusher might also die in combat to Timberwatch elf activations, so like, that's a thing too. With Quarian Ranger in particular, it looks really strong. Alright, it begins. Yeah, so opponent already can just go like Timberwatch elf for +4, Quarian Ranger, untap for another +4. Yeah, so my Ulamog Crusher is already kind of outclassed. That's not good. I'll get a few permanents in process. Only hit 2 cards. Okay. That's alright. Guess I can attack with the Beast token, like Ulamog's Crusher is very clearly the prize in this turn cycle. Yeah, there's preemptively tapping Well Watcher. That's fine. Sure. Do this. Utopia Sprawl this land. Name green. Untap this. There's up to 4 mana. Guess I should untap with this one first. Untap this land. There's up to 7 mana. I'll play an Altasaur. Get another untapper here, unfortunately. I'll crash in. There's an attack for 12. I don't think I want to send these things into the red zone. Although, again, if this is the prize, maybe this attack doesn't matter. Alright. Annihilate 2. That opponent is getting rid of their lands. Okay, there is an activation on the elf. Oh no. Oh, I did not read this card. This is number of elves on the battlefield, because it's old templating. Not number of elves you control? Shit. Fair. Okay. That's not good. Yeah. These are all... No, these are elves. So I have 1, 2 elves. No, I have 3 elves. Those Timberwatch elf activations got very scary very quickly. Yeah, I don't think I can beat this deck. Like, I have... Like, my Ulamog's Crusher just died in combat just, like, super easily. Yeah. Not good. Like, I can attack with a 6/5, and it doesn't matter. I can attack with a 4/4, and it doesn't matter. Like, my opponent just gains that much back by tapping a Well-Wisher. I don't think I can possibly win this matchup. Like, my quick Ulamog's Crusher wasn't enough. I'm going to concede. I can't do it. Like, I can't do this matchup. Alright, yeah, definitely feeling the light land count in these opening hands, but, like, assuming mulliganing is just part of the deck, like, that's probably fine. Utopia Sprawl, into Sculptor of Winter, have 5 mana for that next turn. I can use Lead the Stampede as a bridge card, or I can just keep both big threats, assuming one of them gets there. I'm gonna get rid of the Ulamog's Crusher here, I think, and keep my trample card. Alright, let's Utopia Sprawl. And then we'll, like, play an untapper and see where this goes. Legit no play from my opponent. Could have been a random IF6 through my turn, or could be an unfair deck that is just, like, a tiny bit away from going off. Okay. My deck is perfect, no changes in sideboarding. I wonder if my opponent is just, like, going to concede immediately because, like, they're dead for play points or something like that. I don't know. They could have, like, just legit clicked a wrong button. Kept a hand they didn't mean to keep. Okay, this hand has all fat, no ramp. I think I mulligan the hands that look like these, especially if I don't know exactly what my opponent is doing. This hand doesn't quite work either. I'm willing to go to 5 here. Let's keep this. I'm gonna put back the Weather the Storm and the Anointed Altasaur and just keep my ability to cast spells in the early game. Okay. Yeah. So this'll potentially work out okay for me. Like if this is Affinity, the Galvanic Blast type stuff can be a little rough sometimes. Ooh, Duress punishes me for playing Wild Growth, or sorry, for not playing Wild Growth. Oh, they took the lead this Stampede. Sure. I'm good with that. So let's play a Wild Growth. Tap it for 2 mana. But untap it now. Play a new Wild Growth on it. Play a new Arbor Elf. I am reliant on the top of the deck, but I have so much mana here. Wellspring is totally fine. I might just be attacking for 2 for a couple of turns. Never mind. Well, I've got mana. Now we just need to top deck something good. Opponent's choice of taking the lead the Stampede ended up working out very well. Absolutely take this damage. If they've got a bunch of counter spells and can play the control role, they'll be in pretty good shape. Sure, that's fine. If opponent has more things to play. There's a bridge. Yep, that's all fine. Also, speaking of fine, untap this, tap it again, and play the Altasaur. We got some mana floating too. The Blastoderm. That's a large power swing. I can safely send an Arbor Elf in there. I don't need mana right now. And I'll be attacking for 11 next turn. And these creatures are larger than things like Mirror Enforcers. Opponent can play a bunch of chump blockers or something, but this is a pretty respectable amount of pressure. All right. Send them. Yeah. Opponent could like trade Frogmite and a Galv Blast for my Anointed Altasaur, but that's still a lot of damage. Okay, yeah, there's the block. And I will trample over for 4. I'll play my land and pass here. Like, gotta be Galv Blast, right? Yeah. Alright, goodbye. Ooh, something else. Another Deadly Dispute. Another Deadly Dispute. Like, that's good. Opponent needs to throw stuff in front of the bus a couple more times here, though. They've got the creatures to do it. A lot of this will be, like, how good are my top decks. If I top deck, like, the Maelstrom Colossus sort of cards a handful of times, I can probably keep up with what they have going on over there. Alright, that's acceptable. Send in the Dinosaur. Yeah, an opponent's just going to chump block. Totally makes sense. Ooh, and another deadly... Oh, no, this one's a Reckoner's Bargain. Sure. I don't actually get any damage in this turn, which is kind of huge. This is kind of my, like, fear about these fading cards, right? Is, like, these threats are not sticking around. And are kind of being outclassed by the things my opponents are doing. And I don't think it's just going to be, like, against Affinity and Elves either. I think it's going to be against most decks. Like, the Boros decks have random Squadron Hawks or Samurai Token or whatever. I don't think the Shroud is worth the fading. Like, maybe I'll play against a control deck and I'll, like, very much change my mind about this. But feels a little rough. Okay, I mean, we take these. Alright. Untap the land. Get to 8 mana. Play the Colossus. Ooh, into lead the Stampede. Hell yeah. Another Blastoderm and an Elf. Sure. Any order with the rest of those. Go ahead and untap my land. 4 mana. Play the Blastoderm. Alright, Metallic Rebuke does resolve, unfortunately. Play out an Arbor Elf. I don't really care about that. Bash in for 10. I lose this one as of next turn. I think my opponent... Again? That's insane. My opponent has drawn so many of those. So they've drawn Dispute, Reckoner's Bargain, Reckoner's Bargain. Actually, I guess that's statistically about average. My opponent has seen literally half of their deck at this point. Never mind. I remove my complaint. Reckoner's Bargain, junking Mirror Superior, though, is pretty rough. That was Blood Fountain. Oh, no, sorry, that was Blood Fountain's tokens ability, not the activated ability. I thought my opponent was just going to return a couple of Mirror Enforcers. All right, going deeper. Okay. I get it. You like to draw cards. Munitions is really annoying. Like, not only can this ping my small stuff, but it also gives them a lot of combat utility. Yeah, I'm going to lose the Arbor Elf here as well. Seems, yep, okay. Yeah, so the fading sucks here. It sucks so much. I get in for a lot of damage, but then my opponent just, like, activates Blood Fountain, returns 2 4/4s, and I think I'm outclassed. Yeah. Like, my opponent, it's turn... Like, it is turn 9, admittedly, but my opponent is seeing more cards this game than a Legacy deck normally sees in its game. Yeah. That's fine. I mean, it's really not fine, though. Yeah, this is rough. Like, I have to just keep firing in there, right? Like, I lose this fight if I slow down, but... Oh, not quite how I expected that to go, but I guess it's fine. Alright, so opponent is going to then... Oh god, is it another Reckoner? Okay, it's Deadly Dispute this time. This is insane. I am unhappy. I'll play a Rhyme Tender. Call it a turn. I think my best win condition here is my opponent decking themselves, if I'm being totally honest at this point. But, like, with my opponent having roughly 10 mana and a Makeshift Munitions, like, that's just not going to happen. These Blood Fountain loops are some shit. Yeah. Opponent's paying costs on something else as well. Oh, cool. Yeah. So I lose Blastoderm to Fading. My 7/7 isn't great in combat anymore. And my opponent can absolutely dominate combat and out of combat. I have to hold back at this point. This is nuts. Yep. Spirit's broken. We'll see where the rest of this league goes, but I am not feeling good about my deck after the first couple of games here. Like, I'm doing something broken, but everyone else is doing something more broken. And this deck is, like, paying 0 mana for their 4/4s, whereas I'm paying full price for mine. Are you straight up just going to, like, deal 7 to my Maelstrom Colossus and knock it out of the way? Yes. Yes, that is what's happening. So there's a Munitions activation, and then my opponent will do it one more time. Yeah. So much for decking my opponent. Yeah, I'm straight up dead. Cool. I have a couple of Nature's Claims that I can bring in. Am I supposed to Acid Moss my opponent here when I'm on the play? I don't know. I don't really think Weather the Storm is particularly good here. Like, that gets me the 2 Nature's Claims. I don't think these Blastoderms do it. I guess 2 of those can become Shadow Beast sightings. The game's grindy enough where that matters. And I can just fill slots with 2 Moonvoli Acid Mosses. Like, going after the artifact lands isn't that good when opponent has just that much card draw. This is probably a keep. I'm gonna lead on Arbor Elf again, and we'll see where this goes. Okay, cool. This is going to be a very good turn. Are indestructible, right? Yeah. All right. So, Wild Growth of Land. Tap it. Untap it. Floating mana. Utopia Sprawl. Name green. Up to 4 mana. I think this is fine. Like, I want to get my points of damage in early before my opponent has a large enough Oh, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you conceded one game before taking any game actions. You absolutely spoke to me the next game, grinding me out, and then you just conceded on turn 2 after making your second land drop. You presumably kept... Whatever. Affinity sucks. I'm the best. Go dinosaurs. Alright, round 3. I don't have an untap effect yet, but I do have a whole bunch of ways to make my lands tap for more mana. I'll absolutely keep this. Opponent's going pretty deep into the mulligan tank here. They've already gone to 5. Alright, let's see what's happening. Alright, opponent is playing Tron. So we are both going to be playing our big mana decks, and the Moonvolley Acid Mosses in the sideboard are going to be very critical here. Alright, sure. Opponent will have turn 3 Tron after their mulligan. Alright, I will do big dumb things next turn. Let's Wild Growth this land. Gives me 3 mana for this turn. I can go ahead and Overgrowth this land. Call it a turn. Next turn I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. And we'll see what I can do with that. I don't have an untapper to make like the most advantage of this. Golem Foundry. Alright. I could potentially just power through a Golem Foundry. That's fine. Like, I'm good with that. Ooh, my opponent is making colored mana for something. Nope. Okay, they're literally just cycling it. Alright. Utopia Sprawl is effectively free. Green is 6 total mana. So I will lead the Stampede and try to just find an untapper to play. Like, come on. I just looked at the bottom 5 cards of my library. And I don't have that many lands. So many of those are hits, right? Like, this is... Yeah, this is a 28 creature deck. Alright. Whatever. It is what it is. But that's very tilting. Just about any card there would just give me, like, Ulamog's Crusher into Ulamog's Crusher for following turn cycles. Hard not to get frustrated in that case. Opponent has the ability to start making golems with this. Like, they haven't done anything that is, like, really directly impacting my life total in a super negative way. Like, I'm more scared of them randomly going and, like, having a Ghost Quarter that, like, kills this land. Where were you last turn, Blasterdom, huh? Where were you last night? 8 mana, 8 mana, 8 mana, not 8 mana, 7 mana. Alright. Song and dance over, play Blastoderm. End turn. Hope opponent doesn't combo kill me. Theoretically, I believe it's possible to loop Conjurer's Baubles or something like that in a way that results in an instant kill. I don't remember exactly. I played a deck like that once, but it never, like, fired off on all cylinders to just do its thing. I don't remember what the exact loop is. Yeah, I remember it involved Frantic Salvage. That puts 3 artifacts on top of their deck that my opponent can just churn through. And, like, these are free because of the Foundry Inspector. So my opponent can just, like, cycle them into each other. And then throw a relevant card back into their library for later. And continue to poop golems everywhere. This Blastoderm probably has to go on the defensive, which is not what you want to be doing with a Blastoderm. Confirming this is 3 counters, right? Yeah, 3 counters. So my opponent has 2 golems queued up as well. Yeah, this was just kind of like a savage whiff on my end with that lead the Stampede. I don't know that double Ulamog's Crusher is good enough, even if I hit my land at this point. Alright, so they're cracking the map. Polluted Mire. I don't know what that card is. Oh, it's a cycle land. Sure. That's fine. And, okay, they are cycling it. That's all fine. This fading, not so much fine. Alright. I have 8 mana. I think I still just play a Crusher. There's a world where I want to Maelstrom Colossus and try to, like, high roll. I'm fine trading Blastoderm for a token. Like, that's fine. Like, Blastoderm trading for something is much better than Blastoderm trading for nothing. Which is what will happen in another turn cycle or two. Like, I'm not happy about it, but I'm good with it. Alright, then there's another end of turn Golem. Opponent's Golem Foundry and, like, other card advantage off things like Ichor Wellspring and Deadly Dispute potentially just keeps up with Ulamog's Crusher. Like, Ulamog's Crusher will probably, like, 4 for 1 or something like that, and I still don't know that that's good enough. It maybe doesn't even. 4 for 1 if Cave of Temptation gets involved. Okay, we're going. Nope. That's it. That's it. I mean, this is just gonna draw my opponent 2 cards with those Ichor Wellsprings. I attack each turn if able, so like it's happening. Not the most pleased about this. Yeah, there's double Wellspring. My opponent will just make 1 more Golem and go for the triple block. Or not. Are they straight up chumping? Wow, okay. What sorcery? Oh, it's a Deadly Dispute. Sure. Okay. How much is this tapping for? This is tapping for 6, so I do have 8 mana. Utopia Sprawl nets even here. Go ahead and just play that. You know what? Like, when at first you don't crush your opponent. Crush again. Alright, there's 4 golems. Opponent is now annihilating 4 when I attack. That is much scarier, admittedly. And let's see how many golems my opponent can make. A lot is apparently the answer. We're going to have to annihilate 4 plus block with 18-ish power worth of golems. Gosh, second Golem Foundry is horrifying here. Yeah. Okay, that's just cycling. I'm going to be very surprised if I win this matchup. I'm hopeful, but my opponent has double Golem Foundry active with at least 4 golems showing right now, probably more. And like these Ichor Wellsprings and such are just free at this point. This is pretty dumb. Where are my Acid Mosses? My opponent also mulliganed to like 5, right? To get turn 3 Natural Tron. I probably ramp more consistently than them most of the time. Yeah. This game feels hopeless. Ugh, fuck me. Frantic Salvage now. That just gets to put all of those artifacts on top, and then they cycle through all of them. I'm not saying I want to walk away from the computer to refill my water bottle, but it feels like we're about in that situation where you call the judge and you just ask, like, hey, will you make sure they're taking legal game actions? Like, I gotta pee. And you come back to a board with 69 golems. Yeah, like, I'm going to attack with 2 Ulamog's Crushers. My opponent will just sacrifice 4 Wellsprings, draw 4 cards, and I'm so fucked. Alright, there's another map activation. Oh, presumably just get... I don't know, they got a cycle land last time, so who am I to say? Yeah, they're doing another Polluted Mire to cycle it. Just try to keep the Golem Foundry dream alive. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. Yep. Turn 7, my opponent has seen half their deck. Okay, yep. Fine. Totally fine. Maybe we start playing towards the timeout, huh? Oh, what the fuck? Yeah. So, correction, opponent is only gonna have to sacrifice 2 Wellsprings. Okay. There goes one of the Crushers. Oh, sorry, there goes both Crushers. Oh, storm count of exactly 16. That's a bingo. Spirit's broken. Let's concede. Like, let's not show opponent more cards here. I can't possibly beat that many golems incoming. All right. I need these. From there's worlds where I do Nature's Claim, but I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm boarding the Weather the Storms out. Like, it's super cute when my opponent is comboing off to, like, play one of these. But I think I want my opponent dead before they get their engine going. Or, like, to stop them so their engine really doesn't work. I think every round I'm going to board out Blastoderm. And just board in Shadow Beast Siding. I just don't think this is going to work. It's super cute to Nature's Claim a map that's played out as well, but eh. Again, I'm going to try to focus on getting my opponent dead. And just goldfishing myself, because my opponent's interaction and card draw is better than my interaction and card draw by a lot. Alright, here we go. This hand, like, can make a bunch of mana, but has nothing to do with it and no interaction for my opponent's lands. I think that's worth mulliganing. Yikes. I probably keep this rather than going deeper. Turn 1 Utopia Sprawl, turn 3 Sculptor of Winter. Or sorry, turn 2 Sculptor of Winter. Throw back Utopia Sprawl, go turn 3 Overgrowth into turn 4 Big Dumb Stuff. Sure. Possible I'm still supposed to keep the 1 mana card, though, because, like, some of the lines are a little bit better in the face of interaction, or if I draw another land, I just get stuff in sooner. Sure, yeah, and this is, like, the sort of scenario I was just talking about, where, like, if I have the Utopia Sprawl and I spike that land, even though there's only, like, 13 of them left, they'll play Sculptor of Winter this turn, I think. Next turn I can go 3 mana into Overgrowth, and my opponent's gonna have turn 3 Natural Tron again. Okay. Like, say Livy, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 current mana. Let's Overgrowth. Untap this land. Let's lead the Stampede and hope not to whiff this time. Okay, did not whiff this time. Actually got a draw 3, which is very helpful. And I've got 2 mana, and we can play another Untapper. And then hopefully go wild next turn. But, like, opponent has turn 3 Tron naturally again. Or, well, yeah, you can decide whether or not that's naturally. They have turn 3 on curve Tron. And see what they can do with it. Yep. Yep. Okay. Sure. Eldon's Cane. Okay. Spare supplies is fine. Like, basically, things that aren't Golem Foundry specifically are fine. Alright. Land drop. That's 4 mana. Let's untap this. That's 8 mana. Here's a Colossus. That's a pretty bad Cascade. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. After an untap, attack doesn't get me anywhere. Well, not really true, right? I would be very happy to trade with this in combat. Yeah, I would be very happy to trade with that in combat. I don't think my opponent bites. Yeah, I'll take my 2 damage. Play out a Sculptor and hope to either top deck Gas or Maelstrom Colossus into Gas. Sure. Cycling lands are fine here. So, opponent's got a decent number of draws, and a lot of their stuff has been made cheaper. So we'll see how deep they can go. Opponent does not have very many cards in hand, but they have a decent number of, like, card draws sitting in play. So they really have more resources than it looks like at their disposal. Alright, Golden Egg doesn't go for a card, it goes for mana. Okay, maybe they don't have quite as many resources as I'm giving them credit for. Okay. They were getting a different color with that, so yeah, so that probably means Frantic Salvage is happening. This is building Storm Count, which matters if the opponent has, like, the Storm creature damage card, but otherwise I'm not too afraid of it. I don't even know that their Storm Count will be high enough to obliterate my board. Oh, yeah, okay, they're stopping there. Cool. 4 mana. Untap. 8 mana. Play the Colossus now. Acid Moss. I mean, I'll cast that for sure. Thinking about what to target, it's probably just either Power Plant or mine to, like, force the opponent to have to crack the Expedition map. Lead the Stampede would have been very good follow-up. I think on the draw I am going to play the Nature's Claim. my ability to just goldfish my opponent goes down a little bit. This will make my, where is it? My Lead the Stampedes ever so slightly worse. I think that's okay. And I think I'm going to go down Overgrowth as my card. Like, the Overgrowth is slow. Like, it's very nice with the untappers. This is a fine hand. I would like another land, but I think this is a beggars can't be choosers situation. Also, alright. My Pauper opponent, I swear, is getting Tron. Well, I'm assuming my opponent gets turn 3 Tron, but, like, it feels like they are playing, like, Modern with how consistently they are doing that. A little frustrating. Alright, 2 mana. Need to play my untapper here. The next turn I can Acid Moss away one of those lands. Oh, there's the third. We'll essentially just see how deep my opponent can go. With 7 mana this turn. Fuck. Alright. That's bad. Jesus. That's brutal. Like, even destroying a Tron land and taking them off of this is probably not good enough now. Alright. I can still do this to make future turns better. Utopia Sprawl this. Name green. Untap this land. Tap this. Acid Moss. Blow up tower. And grab a forest. I think the damage is done with Double Golem Foundry. Could be wrong, but like, that feels very tough for me to beat right now. Yeah. Opponent gets stuck on land and, like, doesn't make another land drop. Like, we can... like... That's very frustrating. Alright. Cool, cool, cool. 7 mana to work with on my turn. Probably means that this next turn is a setup turn for me. Cool. A lot less mana to work with now. I mean, I'll do this. I probably end up dying to just golems, but I think I have to fight this fight. Untap. 4 mana. Gunk the tower again. Grab a land. Get to play out an elf, but then I just get cracked for 6 damage. And I lost a wild growth effect, so I'm not actually untapping for that much mana. The next turn I have, what, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. I guess I can play an Olamug's Crusher next turn, or a Maelstrom Colossus next turn, depending on kind of what I'm feeling. Probably Crusher this turn. I can't pay for it that way. 2. Untap. 4. Untap. 6, 7, 8. I'll play Crusher. I can use Crusher as a shield this turn to stop these golem attacks, and then start trying to obliterate my opponent's permanents while playing other things defensively. Okay, this might have worked out. I think I will just do this pre-combat and, like, see what choices my opponent makes. Okay, they're junking a golem token and a wellspring. That makes sense to me. And then they can just chump. Okay, nope. They will take 8. 2. Untap. 4. Untap. 6. I actually shouldn't technically have used that untap. I don't think it matters here, but I shouldn't have done it. Okay, opponent is just conceding. Scoreboard says we win. I don't know how I'm actually feeling about that, though. Okay, quick announcement. For those of you who missed yesterday's video, I'm going to start doing some EDH and CEDH stuff and making some guest appearances on other streams. Please consider giving me a follow on Twitter if you want to keep up where I'm going to be and when. All right, back to the content. Okay, I do not have any lands in this opening hand. But as we've seen, the deck mulligans pretty well, like, kind of assuming you can start to do your thing. On the draw? I am on the draw. I'm gonna assume that this works out, given the number of, like, lands plus untappers plus enchantments that I have. I'm not sure what to throw back. I think it's the Altasaur. I just keep the things that I'm more likely to be able to cast on low resources. Alright, we're playing against fairies. So I'm going to go much bigger than them, but they're going to have better card draw than I do. And just generically speaking, be faster. Yep. All right. Are we ninja-ing? We are ninja-ing. Spellstutter sprites countering some of my smaller stuff is likely, but it doesn't really hit the big stuff, so I think that's okay. All right. Land drop. Utopia Sprawl here. Name green as always. And that's 3 mana, lead the Stampede, and next turn I can start throwing haymakers. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, I will reveal 5 creature cards. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Jeez. Alright, lead the Stampede. You've officially redeemed yourself for that 0 reveal earlier. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so I was talking about how good my opponent's deck was at card draw. I apparently underestimated my own. What do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 mana for next turn. Next turn legit might just be like play 2 small cards and just like set up to play multiple relevant spells easier. Like I can just go for an early Blastoderm, but I don't know that that's better than just playing multiple Rhyme Tenders, Sculptor of Winters, those sorts of things. That's a crusher. Gosh, this hand is stacked. All right, let's start planning for the future. That is a sprite. That's fine. And then I will play the other one, which will resolve. And we'll see how good my opponent is at ooh, of one mind. Yeah, that is a common. Opponent's card draw is strong. So does the ninja come in? The ninja does come in. There are worlds where I can trade that card, like trade Rhyme Tender for that card. I don't think that's correct here. I think I'm looking to just go over the top of what my opponent's doing. Lead the Stampede. Alright. 3 mana. Untap. I think it's better to play 2 big cards here rather than one really big dumb card. Just plays around the counter spells better. Yeah, there's actual factual counterspell. And then to help stabilize the board, I will play the Blastoderm. Again, like, not really a fan of the fading here. Just makes things a little harder for me. Wow. Opponent picking up a Spell Stutter would be kind of annoying. But I'm mostly looking to resolve an Ulamog's Crusher before I just get tempoed out in the air. Yeah. Oh, it's another ninja. Okay, it's a Moon Circuit Hacker this time. My opponent can junk a 3-drop or less. Oh, mutagenic growth. Sure. A little scary. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, if I have to go defensive with this Blastoderm, I'm so bad at that because this card just fades away after a couple turns. I don't think this card should be on the deck. But I've thought that from the deck tech. It just, like, has been bad in all 3 rounds so far. Alright, Fading Counter goes away. I'm very bad against actual factual counterspell here. I don't think I had to play around it. My situation's pretty dire. Like, my opponent can kill me next turn in some worlds. Alright, here is my Crusher. Yeah, saw that coming. I can't attack with this card. I have to hold it back. And holding your fading creature back is awful. Yeah. These 2 counter spells are so clutch. I think I just take too much damage this turn where I can't come back. Like, I can stabilize the ground as of next turn, but I can't really do anything about the air. And I'm not really going to get better at that after sideboarding, right? Like, you don't have reach or anything. Yeah. So, sideboard options don't feel good here. I just kind of have to get lucky and, like, opponent not have counter spells for my critical cards. And that feels awful. Yeah. Yep. So my Blastoderm has just been completely invalidated, and then I am literally dead in the air as of next turn. Yeah. I am going to just check real quick and just make sure there's nothing I can really do. Like, I can technically Cascade into Weather the Storm, I guess. That's not good enough, though. All right, 3, 6, 7, 8. Maelstrom Wanderer into that, gains 6 life. That puts me to 10. Assuming I block 3 bodies on the ground. 2, 3. Okay, I'm not technically dead. I have to hit exactly that, and like it may just be better to concede and not show my opponent this card. But let's try it. Utopia's probably will not do it. I will concede. All right. Blastoderm's out. We'll probably play Shadow Beast Sighting to replace the threats, and put Weather the Storm in. I think. Oh, I need to fill another slot. Yuck. Acid Moss. One of Acid Moss. Card's reasonable on the play. Alright, how are we looking? Forest into Wild Growth, into Rhyme Tender, into Gets kind of stuck. This is an okay hand. Might be good enough. Like, assuming Rhyme Tender doesn't randomly die to some removal spell that I haven't seen yet. Wild Growth plus Rhyme Tender is 4 mana on its own, which gets me to Acid Moss and Overgrowth. This might be good enough. Like, I have plenty of draws that improve it as well. And I'm not expecting Rhyme Tender to get countered when I am on the play. That's just not something that's realistically going to happen. We'll see, though. Like, this hand does have a pretty decent chance of just stumbling to actual factual counterspell. Nice! Do I just want to Overgrowth instead? They're both +2 mana. I think I'm just going to Overgrowth here. Rhyme Tender is better in some situations, but if my opponent like randomly Vapor snags or equivalent and bounces my creature out of play, it's super annoying for me. Yeah, please tap out. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Fantastic. This turn's very good for me. So I will tap this, nuke my opponent's land, ramp out another forest, then play Rhyme Tender. And next turn, I can do very disgusting things. I might even trade with the ninja here. I think I just trade with the ninja and don't let my opponent draw cards. I can still just cast the annoyed Altasaur. And like there's some period of the time where like my opponent doesn't have another land in hand or whatever. And I just come out super, super far ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Play big dumb Cascade card. Cascade into new untapper. Start doing Olamog's Crusher stuff next turn. This also has reach. Like, I've got that going for me. Yeah. You can draw your card there. But this is pretty gross for me. Or, actually, am I attacking? I'm probably attacking. If I'm attacking, I should just get that out of the way first. I am just going to leverage the fact that I got ahead on mana here. Or, untap. 8. Crusher. Play out some elves while Spellstarter Sprite isn't countering them. And this is a really strong board. Like, I'm quite happy with this. Like, I have just so much incoming damage. I probably don't care about. Okay, sure. Anyway, I probably don't care about my creatures either, so they're free to attack in. Alright. Opponent sending, that's fine. A little annoying if they end up having Circuit Hacker plus actual factual counterspell for this on the way back down. But it's basically got to be that. Ball. I just got to cast both of these, right? That's just 4. Untap. 8. I think I play this one first. Like, it shows my opponent that I just have another gas card, but this potentially sets up some cooler things. Need the Stampede. Wall. Okay. Would you like to counterspell? Right. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3 fairies. That's fine. Don't think this game is about those cards at this point. Untap a forest. Retap. Up to 8 mana. Crusher. Combat. I'm fine with trading an elf for this other shit. Absolutely. Yeah, an opponent's fine with that as well. Alright, opponent goes to 8. I have 2 Reach Tramplers and an Olamog's Crusher. I don't really know how I can lose from here. Like, it can happen, but opponents things that matter are bounce spells. Strong. Opponent's total toughness is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Assuming one of these has to jump in front of Olamog's Crusher, that means their total toughness is 4, 5, 6, 7. Which I believe means this is a lethal attack. Alright. Annihilate your lands. Okay, they're arranging. Mutagenic growth. Sure. That still puts you dead, though. Like, right? Like, mutagenic growth is +2 toughness, but -2 life, so, like, that ends up in the same spot. Moonvolley Acid Moss was really good that game. I admittedly was on the play, though. Is this better than Weather the Storm? I don't know. Like, 6 life is so much life once I have shit like this in play. Even, like, when it's more or less at its worst. A game where my opponent is on the play and can leverage their ninjas is also a lot harder. Let's call this good, though. This is unacceptable. Easy mulligan. This doesn't really do anything. Right? Like, I play a land, I play a Rhyme Tender. Like, it's just +1 mana. I would rather go deeper here. Fuck. This is not keepable. I will go to 4. Cool. Alright. I'll keep 3 of these cards. Do I keep the Lead the Stampede and try to pray? I think I need to keep mana sources. And hope that I top deck well. Yep, that feels like shit. That's really disappointing, especially against a deck that like has as much interaction and card draw as my opponent's deck does. I don't regret any of the individual mulligans, by the way. Like, I think those were all correct. And in some ways, this is the best hand that I ended up with, because I actually do have acceleration. Yeah. Alright, draw your card. Here's the good top decks. Sure. Alright, I have nothing to do with this mana. The game will be over quickly. That's the good news. Alright. If I get hit for another 3, or if it's going to be 4 and my opponent has another ninja. It is. I don't think they need to. Oh, okay, they are going to make it 3. They're just going to bounce the Moon Circuit Hacker. That's fine. Lead the Stampede is a fantastic draw. I really wanted a 1-drop like Arbor Elf there, rather than the big dumb cards, but like I'll take it. Like, I just needed an elf to play there to like threaten to do some of this stuff next turn. I'm taking 4 a turn while my opponent draws 2 cards a turn, like 2 bonus cards a turn cycle. Like, this is just not sustainable. Ugh. Sure. And now, like, my opponent potentially just has like Counterspell available, or like Sprite. Oh, okay. I mean, at least that worked. I'm still not to appropriate amounts of mana next turn without another piece of acceleration. Alright, there's another island. I think I have to take it and just get lucky. Like, getting stuff like this in play gives me some chance, but I'm just so unlikely to actually resolve cards here. Also, like, the more mana my opponent passes with, the more scared I am. Does this just tap this? Sure, doesn't untap. Okay, yeah. I will concede there. Like, we mulliganed to 3, and we're relatively close to having a real match, but I needed more time. Final round opening hand here is like awkward again, because like I have a lot of mana in hand and the ability to do cool things with Rhyme Tender, but I really want a second land, but I don't know that I'm supposed to mulligan this hand because it's otherwise very good. Like, it's 2 threats, 5 pieces of mana. It just like becomes very awkward if Rhyme Tender gets answered. See what opponent is playing. Plains Pass, maybe a Boros deck. Oh, second land is so good. Second land is so good. Okay, I was about to say, like, am I getting Mana Tithed? Is Mana Tithe a common? Alright. Blue-white deck of some kind. I don't know this. The Modern Age. Draw a card, discard a card. Turn it into a 2/3 flyer, ultimately. Discarding Deep Analysis. Sick! Alright. 1 mana. Let's Utopia Sprawl here. Name green. I've got 3 mana to work with. Do I just play Overgrowth? I don't think so. The Rhyme Tender untapping and doing its thing seems really good. It's the same amount of mana as of right now, but can drastically improve. And I guess I can, like, play the Overgrowth and then untap it next turn as well. That's 7 mana showing as of right now. I can play an Annoyed Altasaur next turn. I legitimately don't know what my opponent's deck is doing, though. So, like, I don't know to what extent to play around counterspells. Oh, this is just new familiar tech. Sure. Okay, now that I know that, like... Now that I know that, I wouldn't have played out Rhyme Tender to play around Snap. Alright. That said, I still think this is a double dork turn. And then go ham next turn. And see where this goes. So the looting's interesting. This is 2 mana and 3 life to flashback? Yeah. Okay. We'll see where this goes. Okay, just cycling. Great. So, Overgrowth actually ends up netting me mana here. Alright. So, play Overgrowth. Untap this land. Land is tapping for 5. Untap this land. You unfortunately have to tap this. This is 10. This is 11 total mana. Play the Colossus. Let's see if I can live the waterfall dream of hitting annoyed Altasaur. Lead the Stampede is pretty dope. Woo! 1, 2, 3 cards. Any order with the rest of those. I think it is just better to play out, do little things, and pass the turn. And opponent doesn't have a lot of resources here. And I do. I have so much mana. Okay, what was that? All right, that is the flashback from Deep Analysis. That really helps with the resources. Actually, the cost of that is reduced by Sunscape Familiar as well. So let's see where opponent can go from here. Okay, they're doing something else. All right, it is another Sunscape Familiar. Yeah, I don't care about this 2 damage. This game is not about damage. Ooh! 5 mana. Untap this. I think I do my Cascade threat first before doing other things. Let's cast this. Flash that back as well. I guess let's do an untap, since I didn't hit anything else here. Go up to 8. Cascade? Yeah, I can just Cascade here. If I hit the mana producers, it's better to do this now. Oh, we hit the waterfall! We hit the waterfall! Alright. Screenshot acquired. That's the dream. Arbor Elf from there, not exactly the dream, but it's pretty sick. Alright, cool. Untap this land. Tap this. Untap the land. Tap this. That's 10 mana. Enough for a Crusher. Followed by Sculptor of Winter. I'm out of untappers. Send him. Only a casual 7 damage here. Sick. Opponent needs to do some pretty cool ephemerate shenanigans or set up a fog loop or skip all my combat steps or something. Okay, yeah, they're snapping it back to their hand. Sure, that's fine. They can just draw more cards. They need like a Stonehorn Dignitary type card. Oh, are we doing it again? Yeah, they're doing it again. That's all fine. Other land drop. Okay. Are you being evoked again? Okay, it's actually going to graveyard this time. Let's see. They need to dig towards something that messes with the attack step, because I both have a ton of damage and like an annihilator effect. Sure. So you can snap the Crusher out of play. That's fine. Don't know how much time that actually buys them though. Like I do have 2 Tramplers in play. Yeah, okay, cool. It was starting to get scary though. Alright, Blastoderm just absolutely not playable here, especially where my opponent has a bunch of chump blockers and ways to get combat steps. I will probably play a full playset of Acid Moss just to fuck with my opponent's lands. And Weather the Storm doesn't seem super important here. I could probably just go slightly more threat dance. I can't take creatures out of play other than with Annihilator triggers, which is a problem. I think I have the faster Goldfish. I think. Okay. I have ways to untap lands, but like this hand didn't really come together without an enchantment. I'm gonna go ahead and mulligan that. I like this hand better. I think I throw back one Lead the Stampede here and kind of keep the mana acceleration. And no initial cantrip for the opponent. Fine by me. So I've got Utopia Sprawl into Lead the Stampede, into hopefully finding some untappers. Would love to draw like an Acid Moss for the following turn. Oh my god, I really want an Acid Moss. Let's go, Acid Moss. Alright. Land drop. Land. Utopia Sprawl. Obviously green. 3 mana. Lead the Stampede. I've got to play for next turn. That's the good news. Bad news is I have a lot of top end here and not a lot of bridge. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 mana next turn, and I only really get to use 2 of that mana unless I draw a reasonable play here. Sure, that's fine. Okay, I mean, that helps. Not exactly what I'm looking for, but it probably means that through Snap I can do something cool next turn. I have a lot of mana if nothing gets snapped. All right. Opponent was pausing. So there's that. Man, I really want an Acid Moss. I want to Cascade into it so bad. The next turn I've got 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 mana, which is only one of these spells. It's probably Crusher. Crusher is the worst against Snap, though, and I think my opponent has Snap in hand, so, like, that's kind of a problem. Sure. Also, I guess the worst versus a counterspell. Ooh, okay, there is the Snap. Snap plus Bounce Land is notoriously quite good. So, we'll see what my opponent can do here. Are we ephemerating? We are ephemerating. Opponent gets a few card draws out of that. Here's to hoping Arbor Elf doesn't get snapped out of play as well. That would be pretty annoying for me. Okay, it's just a deep analysis, which is very good. Very good, because like the flashback is super relevant as well. Crusher's really bad if my opponent has Snap or a similar effect. I don't think I can play Crusher this turn. I think I have to go with the Cascade. Just a little awkward in terms of resources. I play the 8 mana one? Maybe I play the 8 mana one. Yeah, let's play the 8 mana Cascade spell. Come on, Acid Moss. Fuck. Not Acid Moss. It's still pretty reasonable. But opponent is absolutely pulling ahead here in terms of resources. They're drawing way more cards than I am. This is probably going to end up being one of those times where it takes them a while to win, but they're on the right track to do so. Ooh, what is that? Exile target creature with power 2 or less. Its controller gains 4 life. Sure. That's very good for them. Okay, there's an Archaeomancer, presumably returning Ephemerate. So I guess there's worlds where it returns Snap. Yeah, Ephemerate. Oh, and they have it up. Wrong. Opponent is at the point where they are discarding, though. All right. Battle. Battle is step 1 here, and see if opponent wants to like block, followed by Ephemerate, which there's a very good chance they do. There it is. Oh, this one not trampling matters in this situation. Opponent takes a little bit. They have 3, 4, 5 mana. This probably has to just be multiple Rhyme Tenders and try to pull ahead on future turns. Opponent has so many resources, they get to just like do the whole Archaeomancer Ephemerate thing, which is pretty gross. That just returns that, and then they can just like continue this loop. I have to start worrying about like Snap stopping my creatures from attacking and whatnot. Opponent also has 10 cards. In my experience, when you don't mess with familiars and you can't take these early Sunscape familiars and God Pharaoh's Faithfuls out of play, they really start pulling ahead in the mid game. I guess we're really in the late game now, honestly. I also might be past the point where an Acid Moss is just like GG. 11 mana to work with on my turn, which could be an Altasaur plus a Shadow Beast sighting. Crusher is not super good in the face of like this whole like Archaeomancer snap sort of thing that is coming. There's some appeal to it though. Opponent is blowing clock though. I am pulling far ahead in that capacity. Okay, there's another Ephemerate. Alright, that's targeting Snap. Snapping. Sure, they're just trying to deny me mana right now. That's fine. See where this goes. Done some tapping and untapping of mana a couple of times. For a second Archaeomancer. I can return Snap, take out my other Rhyme Tender. Yep. I assume that's what's immediately happening. It is. I'm not really dying yet, but I'm in bad shape. Okay, yep. Sort of surprised the Muldrifter didn't back in for 2 there. That seems reasonable to me. Alright, so I've got 3, 6 mana, so I can't actually do most of the cool stuff. I'm going to send in with these creatures. I think my opponent just can take the damage, honestly. Oh. Yeah, that seems much better. That's fine. Take 4. 2 mana Rhyme Tender. 2 mana Rhyme Tender. I've got to work towards this stuff. The normal stuff just, like, clearly is not going to cut it. Alright, Archaeomancer gets blanked. We'll return the Ephemerate. Yep, okay, as expected. And, yeah, I think I'm just gonna be putting, like, the onus on my opponent to actually kill me. Because, like, the life they're gaining off God-Pharaoh's Faithful is cool. But assuming at some point I get to do the stuff that I want to do, like, I am hitting in chunks of, like, 6 or more. So, like, there's that. Okay, sure. Take your value. I haven't played against this deck playing the Modern Age before, so I don't know kind of exactly how the tail end of this is going to go. Like, a lot of times this deck just, like, turns into a beatdown deck and hits you with a couple of Muldrifters, but other times there's a combo finish where they mill you out. Not super current with Pauper. I haven't played a Pauper League in probably 2 weeks. I don't know. It all blurs together. Sure. Snap, untapping, double, bounce land is really good. And, yep, we'll see where this goes. My opponent's spells are very inexpensive. Yeah, and now we're starting to see the Muldrifter beats. That's fine. Yeah, there's a flashback deep analysis. Again, the life loss doesn't really matter once at least one God-Pharaoh's Faithful gets involved. Alright. The opponent is going to kind of continue to go here. Being left with 1 white mana probably means that they're done for the turn. Ah, nope, JK. Cycling. Opponent will discard a few cards. Again, clock is a real concern here. My opponent has used, like, double the clock that I have. Alright. More Rhyme Tender. Let's play it. Let's play it. I don't have another thing. Thought I had another one of those. Do I want to attack for 7? Yeah, I'll attack for 7. Like, it matters. Doesn't matter that much, but it matters. Ephemerate on Archaeomancer, and do that whole song and dance one more time. Oh, nope, getting snapped this time. Sure. Alright, there's another Modern Age. Won't really care about that card. Okay. I think opponent is realizing how big of a concern the clock is right now. Is going to take fewer game actions. Could be wrong, though. Like, very easily could be wrong. Like, is opponent really playing Modern Age for another, like, 2/3 flyer that supplements Muldrifter? Just, like, otherwise dig towards pieces of the combo? That's fine. Whole snap thing is, like, doing okay for them. But, I don't know how long they can keep that up. Getting another snap. Yep, getting another snap. That's fine. It's annoying. I would like to get my Reach Trample Cascade card into play. all three of those coming off on the same turn and turning into multiple flyers is absolutely annoying. Also annoying is the fact that I am stuck on 6 mana for the nth turn in a row. Alright, Rhyme Tender, back with Colossus. I assume my opponent just takes that damage. No need to chump block here. Opponent has so many game actions to take here. And they're actually a decent number of turns away from killing me. Timeout is absolutely becoming a real concern. Like, if we go to a game 3 scenario with sub 5 minutes left on clock, I might just play the stupid life gain storm spell. Yeah, I'll take 6. That's fine. Like, that does not bother me right now. Opponent still has to do enough things to take these Rhyme Tenders out of play so that I don't just go batshit insane on this game. Because given mana, I will. I will absolutely. I could also not F6 through my opponent's turns and start forcing the clock on them a little bit harder. I don't think I want to do that because it's more work for me, if I'm being honest. That's probably the correct thing, to just not F6 through their turns anymore. Alright, Seagate Oracle is whatever. Okay, just still absolutely failing to hit my relevant cards. Hopefully this time around I can keep one of these in play. I think I'm not going to attack with Maelstrom Colossus. I think I'm just going to hold it back. I think it's more annoying as a blocker than anything else here. Alright, there's the first Ephemerate on an Archaeomancer. Targeting the Ephemerate. Second Ephemerate on an Archaeomancer. Targeting an Ephemerate. To the surprise of no one. So these things now transform into flyers. Means that my opponent's clock is real. I'll take 6 damage here, and hopefully I can just get an Altasaur into play and like serve as an actual blocker. Alright, nice. 3 mana. That's 7 mana. That's an Altasaur. Getting a Sculptor of Winter, which I don't really care about. Prohibit. My opponent gets 2 life there. This is kicked. Counter target spell if its mana value is 2 or less. If it was kicked, counter that spell if its mana value is 4 or less instead. That doesn't do anything. So that's a thing. So there's 3 mana. There's 6 mana. There's an untap. There's 9 mana. Here's Maelstrom Colossus, which cascades. It cascades into Lead the Stampede. Gets another Altasaur, which is fine, but slow. I am, unfortunately, I believe, still dead in the air, so I don't think it matters. But that's fine. The opponent will just send in all their flyers, and I will die. But I will die a noble death, and that's fine. It is exactly 10 for what it's worth. Opponent has 5 minutes to win a game in a very slow deck. Do I Weather the Storm? Playing Weather the Storm just makes me worse at killing my opponent. I probably shouldn't do that. Like, my primary strategy is pretty legit. I'm going to mulligan this. I think I can get a hand of similar strength most of the time. I'm going to keep this pitching an Olamog's Crusher, I think. The snaps are a little annoying with this hand, but at some point I just have to keep a hand. Like, this deck doesn't really have enough land. It is absolutely trying to cheat on land. I think if I make it to my Moon Volley Acid Moss, I'm just going to win. If I don't, things get a little tough. Preordain was 1 bottom, 1 top. Alright, that's fine. That's very good. So, 1-2, untap, 3-4, Acid Moss, this card, take my extra thing, call it a turn. Okay, opponent does get to make their land drop this turn. Could have gotten a bounce land if I waited. That's okay. 2 mana, 4 mana, 5, 6 mana. Just going to be a Lead the Stampede turn and set up for next turn. That's fine. Here it is. Just an Arbor Elf. unfortunate. I think I do want to Arbor Elf rather than lead the Stampede. Just have multiple things in play so the bounce effects get worse versus me. Then I'll bash in for 2. Opponent will take the block. That's fine. Every second, like literally every second counts for my opponent here. They need to get aggressive very quickly. And I am all ready to big dumb stuff as of next turn. Sure. Map's obviously very good. Alright, opponent's got a Mole Drifter, discounted because of Sunscape Familiar. Okay. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana this turn. I think I just go for the Cascade. Like, I have such high upside plays if the Cascade hits well. Plus, like, this thing does just have Reach and Trample, both of which are super relevant keywords right now. Alright, opponent. See what you've got. I think I was supposed to play the Acid Moss when I did. I'm just, like, sad that I didn't end up hitting the Bounce Land, because, like, that's just so very good. Alright. Returning the Cascade spell to my hand is kind of a rough spot for them. It may just be what they have to do. And if they can spam a couple spells and take out some of this stuff, like, that ends up being good for them. But this is just ultimately so many game actions that if anything actually gets complicated, then, like, they are in very bad shape. Also, I just have, like, 5 mana this time around, so I get to spew all 3 of these back into play, like, Anointed Altasaur aside. So, got that going for me. Okay. Like, the Mole Drifter gets to crash in for 2. Again, no big deal. Okay, cycling is fine. This thing turning into another flyer is slightly annoying. Sure, that's fine. Okay, island, that was an island. Alright, nice. 2 mana Sculptor. 2 mana Sculptor. 1 mana Elf. We've got 3 untappers in play. And any one of them making it back around the board is disastrous. So that means opponent needs to set up, like, 3 different snaps. And, like, if every game action ends up being, like, 3 seconds, this is not boding well for them. Yeah, cool. Discarding Deep Analysis is totally fine. Take 2 from a Mole Drifter. That's okay with me. Snap number 1. Another Archaeomancer. That can be snap number 2. Okay, and there is the snap. See if they can do it yet again. Oh, Ghostly Flickers. Sure. Ghostly Flicker, I believe, represents a loop at this point, but it's a loop that doesn't matter because my opponent doesn't have the time to make it matter. I think this is fine. Like, they can snap my stuff out of play, and, like, Ghostly Flicker's super cool, but block. Like, I just need to vomit creatures every turn, and I think I'm good. Alright. 2 mana Sculptor. 2 mana Sculptor. 1 mana Arbor Elf. I really just need to hit 1 more natural land drop to, like, start playing the Altasaur. Because, like, the Altasaur is the thing that matters, because that's the thing that can start netting me some ground. Alright. So this thing turns into a creature. Alright. Snaps are fine. Opponent's getting sloppy as they're low on time. Which is understandable. But, like, opponent has to, I think, remove all of my creatures, or I pull far enough ahead that I don't think they can win. Like, it does not take a lot for me to just hit in with, or sorry, to, sorry, complete thought. It does not take a lot for me to pull ahead in this game if opponent gets sloppy. I will take that damage. That's fine. Okay. Opponent has how much damage in the air? Opponent has 6 damage in the air. I guess this is just free to do. Alright, there we go. There's 3 mana. I'm trying to think if I even want to untap or if I just want to leave 1 more body that my opponent has to bounce. I think I just leave 1 more body that my opponent has to bounce. Yeah. 2 mana, Sculptor of Winter. 1 mana, Arbor Elf. I can untap this forest and play Lead the Stampede. I just don't think I need to. Okay, yeah. Your Ghostly Flickers are fine. Targets. A snap. 5 seconds left on clock. It's just realistically not happening. That's fine. Yep, this is the price of playing a deck like Familiars that wins extremely slowly. And I could have tried to time my opponent out much harder from game 1 if I thought that was something that I needed to do. So we end up 3-2 in the league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Blastoderm was really bad. The rest of the deck was pretty reasonable. I don't think I like Weather the Storm. Like, I get that it's not for some of the matchups that I played, but I don't think your Stompy / ramp deck really needs that effect in game 1. I would be willing to play 4 Shadow Beast sightings in the main deck over the 4 Blastoderms and be happy with that. I'd probably cut a Weather the Storm or a land, and honestly, I'd even consider a 16th land as well. Because, like, most of the games where I got stuck on mana. But I would be happy turning this into either another threat or another land. I need experimentation to tell for sure. I guess there's also worlds where you play this in the main deck. Like, this card was pretty legit. I brought it in multiple rounds. And if you move the Shadow Beast sightings out of the sideboard, you can move the 2 Weather the Storms into the sideboard. I'm not sure how I feel about Tinderwall. Like, I get that it's a 1-turn burst of acceleration that can also be a blocker in some matchups. I don't know how good it actually is. I would need more reps to tell. But this deck was absolutely better than I expected it to be. Like, there were absolutely some frustrating moments in this league, and there were, like, a lot of things outside of my control, like missing on Lead the Stampede and being 1 mana away on so many things, mulliganing a lot of hands. But, like, there's something here. This was a pretty reasonable deck, and more or less I enjoyed playing it. And I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It helps a lot. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.